everyone, it's Chala Dinkoy. How are you? Happy Tuesday tea time with Chala. Yesterday was a holiday here in Canada, so I was totally caught. Today I was like, I did not remember that it was Tuesday. I did not remember that I had to make tea. Luckily, I wrote a great blog today about the Ellen DeGeneres brand, because while I'm such a big fan of hers, I had always been a big fan of hers. I think I thought that her brand stood for, kindness, inclusion, being brave to come out. And, when I was young and she was, in the news for coming out, all of those things. And now I'm thinking, maybe she wasn't such a queen of nice. And as a marketer, it's really fascinating to me. So I read so much about it today, and I decided to write about it. And the funny thing is, I come from the world of coaching, and about half of all the coaches that I've met that are professional are actually leadership coaches. And they do, HR related issues. And when they're my clients, we try to come up with pain points around what is the ultimate consequence of having bad relationships at work, having, a toxic work environment. And not a lot of them, a lot of the ultimate, pain points come out to be retention, around relationships. Some are even like career succession, but we never or rarely ever talk about the actual brand going down because of HR issues. And this is what's happening to the brand. From a brand perspective, marketing rarely ever gets involved with HR, and HR rarely ever gets involved in marketing in the giant corporations that I've worked for, unless there's a huge, PR issue with respect to HR. So, that's what's happening with the Ellen brand. And very similar to what happened with, if you remember, a cook, a Southern cook. Her name is Paula Deen. She was on the Food Network. She had her own show. She made lots and lots of stuff with butter. And in fact, I think a couple of years ago, she lost so much weight. But before then, she was known as this, loving grandmother. And what happened is, I think she used the N-word, and her brand tanked. She lost every book deal, every show, every endorsement. And I think she's back. I'm not sure, but it's taken years for her to claw that position back into. And it's all about something that I teach called the brand character. Now, there's a guy named Howard Stern who, if you're my age, you remember when he used to be on radio. Now he's on Sirius Radio. He has his own show still. He's one of the first to have ported over to Sirius Radio with his show. But he was called a shock jock, and he used to swear. He used to talk about demeaning stuff. If you went on his website, like in my book, I feature his website, my Gentle Marketing book, and you could see ladies in bikinis on his homepage, because his brand was okay to talk like that, and he was okay to swear. And there's there's a coach that I used to follow, Suzanne Evans, and she used to have a potty mouth, and it was okay because that was her brand. And she would be throwing at her events, she would have shirts that said, "Are you a hoe or a beau?" Meaning, are you a hobby owner or are you a business owner? But it was rude. So that was her brand. So what happened with Ellen is that her brand was kindness. Her brand was inclusion, and now what her brand is being accused of is all these things that are completely against that. That is the bigger piece of the puzzle. When I look at brand characters, and when I teach and talk about brand, I often talk about the Abercrombie and Fitch CEO, and he used to, he actually got fired, but before that, he was very famous because he talked about wanting only thin people. He actually said, "I'm against fat people wearing our brand." And that made a huge stink. And because he was so clear on who his brand is that they didn't even produce the smaller sizes for women, the larger sizes for women. I think they didn't even produce X large for women. They only produced it for the man for the athletic builds. So he was so clear. He said, I want the good looking jocks and the cheerleaders in high school who are the popular fit people. And in fact, he hired that way. His production line was done that way. You know, his production planning was done that way. His talent was hired that way. He had a very clear brand character that guided his entire company and systems. And as a marketer, I appreciated that. But when, you know, nobody appreciated that enough, obviously, because they fired him eventually. But from a marketing standpoint, that was great. Now, when you look at what's happening with Ellen, one of the critiques that I've read about what's happened is that her management team took the blame. They're saying, you know, she doesn't have anything to do with the daily ins and operations of the production, so we take full responsibility. And what PR experts are saying is that she's actually hiding behind that. It doesn't matter who was responsible. She is the boss. She's the leader. She needs to take ownership, and she needs to come forward, and she needs to say, this was on me, and I'm going to fix it, and here's how I'm going to fix it. But that's not what's happened so far, as far as what I read today. So some lessons here for your brand is, one, that HR can absolutely be the make or break, apparently, of your brand. And the other thing is that, you know, it's all about your brand character. So whatever disaster befalls you, if you're still within line of your brand character, despite what everything else is happening around you, then I think you can survive this. And that's what the media, the PR experts are saying, is that if she were to step forward and to, you know, proactively do something about all the allegations, it would be so much better than her management team taking the blame and the responsibility. So people are really looking for her to step up and do the leadership thing. What happened with Ellen DeGeneres is that she's, all of these employees are coming forward, Jessica, and saying that they're experiencing racism and abuse at work. And so it's really weird, because she stands for inclusion, she stands for being authentic, and she stands for being kind and nice. And what people are saying is that that's not true at all. And in fact, it's really strange, because I actually went on a TV show during my TV book tour, and it was one of her former EDs, like not the executive producer, but one of her producers, and she had worked with Ellen, and that was a huge job. Like, that is a huge coup to be working on her production team. But she said she literally left because she was burnt out. So I know that, I knew that it was a tough environment, but she certainly never talked about any of the alleged abuse that's going on because of a person's color. And that's all that's coming out, and it's coming out consistently, and it's coming out strong. So they haven't really been able to defend. What they're speculating, and what I've read and what I've blogged about today, is that most of her sponsors for the show are going to be unwilling to continue to promote her brand and to want to be associated with her brand, because if you think about who the sponsors are, they're mostly middle America, they're mostly family oriented, and they're targeting, you know, the average American. And that's who she appeals to, and that's what those products are trying to sell to. And if there's any taint associated with the brand, unfortunately the brand value goes down, and when the brand value goes down, no other brands want to associate themselves with you. So that's what's happening right now. I have no idea how it's going to roll out with any of the other movements. Unfortunately, anybody tainted by any kind of this negative scandal, whether it was the Me Too or whether it was any other kind of scandal, has not really survived. Like I was telling you, the Paula Deen, it took her years, and I'm not really even sure if she's back, you know, when she used the N-word, because she was such a nice, loving grandmother, so kind, but nobody could associate that behavior with her. And the behavior itself would be okay if it was within line of the brand character, as I gave you the example with Howard Stern, but that's not the case with Ellen DeGeneres. So this was just a little musing of, I'll take a sip. And hi, Nikki, so nice to see you. And yeah, that's my 2 cents, my little Tuesday tea with Chala about the state of Ellen's brand and what you should do as a small business. One is you should have a brand character. You should actually cultivate it knowingly, not just falling into it, not just being yourself and being authentic. Those are great things, but it's much better if you actually sit down with a strategist and figure out what is your brand character and how you're going to cultivate it and how you're going to infuse it into your company and into your marketing and into your messaging, so that everything is consistent, so that everybody who is messaging for you, so all your employees who are doing lives for you, all your employees who are doing, blogs for you, they are all speaking from the same page. And if you don't have a cohesive brand character, that you're not going to be able to do that. And a brand character is simply a set of human characteristics that are associated to a business or to a product. And so, like, Nike is the ultimate athlete. The Body Shop is, the no animal testing skincare. Virgin, these are all examples from my book. Virgin is the person that goes against the establishment. So these are all things that you should be thinking about when you're thinking about your own brand character. And unfortunately, Ellen's is in the toilet, as I've said, and I'm blogging about it on Thursday. You'll see some of the points that I make there, which I've repeated here tonight. But in order to turn that ship around, she really has to step forward, take ownership, and do some good where some harm has been done. And so much could have been avoided, as I said in my article, if she could have just had like a review process or some sort of real true authenticity going on instead of the lip service. And so many people are blaming her with being fake and two-faced and the biggest liar in the industry, and who knows, right? But what's a learning for us and our small business is, one, have that really clear who you are and what you stand for, and then make sure that you really talk the talk and walk the walk, and that all your communication and everybody who does your communication stands with you. All right, guys, that is a short tea time Tuesday with Chala, and I am so happy. Hi, Crystal. So happy to see you all, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye, guys.